Hi everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Live Sci-Fi. Thanks so much everyone for joining us tonight. I'm your host Noreen, and I have Tim in the studio with me. However, he's not on camera, but he's in the studio with me. Hi Tim. Say hi.
Hello.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for the mods. Thanks everybody in the chat room for joining us as well. Would you please give us a like and please subscribe to our channel? We'd really appreciate that. If you subscribe, you'll get notified of all the live shows that are happening on Live Sci-Fi. And so tonight, our guest is Michael Esposito. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Michael Esposito is an experimental artist and researcher in electronic voice phenomena, which is EVP. He is a descendant of Alfred Vail, who invented the Morse code with his partner, Samuel Morse. Michael studied communication theory at Purdue University, University of Notre Dame, American University in Cairo, Egypt, and Governor State University. Michael is the co-founder of Phantom Airwaves, an institution dedicated to the study and education of EVP research. Michael has developed concepts, theories, and testing methods of capturing and presenting EVP using structures and frequencies commonly found in relationship to experimental music. So let's all give a welcome to Michael. Thanks, Michael, so much for joining our show tonight.
Hi, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
We will be discussing 3 locations tonight. We'll be discussing the Waverly, Vale Farm, which is Effingham Farm, Michael?
Yeah, it's in Effingham, Illinois. It's my family farm from 1927. We owned it from 1927. It's been in the family, and it's in Effingham, Illinois.
And also the Sallie House. So, Michael, why don't we start with Waverly? It's Waverly Sanitarium. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about the Waverly?
Two of the most fruitful, actually, there'll probably be 3 really fruitful places capturing EVPs. Always been prisons, mental hospitals or institutions, and tuberculosis sanitariums. Now, tuberculosis in America was kind of like the bubonic plague was in Europe. It wiped out hundreds of thousands of people. It was just a horrible, horrible disease. And these institutions spring up, these huge, massive institutions to treat these people, and a lot of different cures and attempts at curing tuberculosis sprung up. One of these institutions was Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's a massive 2 large wings, a center hall, and 5 stories tall. Absolutely phenomenal place, known for shadow people, a nurse who committed suicide there, and a little boy. Just absolutely phenomenal place. They run it quite frequently. They rent it out to ghost groups and stuff. But before they started doing all that, actually, we had a chance to go in there a few times and do some interesting stuff.
Now, how did you conduct your EVPs in the Waverly, since it's huge?
It's not really easy. One of the things you always want to make sure of when you're recording EVP is your environment. Make sure the extraneous noises out in the streets or other groups or whatever aren't going to be captured or are involved. And especially in Waverly, a lot of times you'll have equipment malfunction. So one time I remember flashlights, recorders, cameras, nothing all worked. They all stopped working at the same time. So it's just a matter of control and observation while you're doing your research.
Now, how do you do your EVPs? How do you set that up?
Well, it depends on what type of research I'm doing. I mean, with something something like that where I'm doing a large building, I'll pick places that I want to record in and focus on them, trying to control the situation. Obviously, it's not a place that you can cover in one or two trips. So what you want to do is you want to sort of limit the scope of your investigation, limit the scope of your research, and focus on specific points, or specific places. But with the EVPs that you have tonight from the Waverly, I think it was more or less a classic session. Maybe a few questions and not a whole lot of unique experimentation in there at that point, but just more of a classic EVP situation.
Hey Michael, when you say unique experimentation, what types of other things do you do during your EVP sessions? Like what kind of things have you experimented with?
Well, funny you should ask, because one of the things that I'm going to try is an experimental artist made a special record for me of blank grooves. His name is Achim Monet, and he's out of Germany, and he records stuff. And what he does is he takes these records that have blank grooves on them, and he lets them sit in a room and lets the dust collect on them, and then he plays the record through a phonograph to capture the actual sound of the dust particles, the motes of dust. Now, one of the theories that I've worked on over the years is based on dust in the triboelectric scale and static electricity. And its conductivity of electronic voice phenomena. And so one of the experiments that I'm hoping to do real soon, maybe at the end of the month, will be taking this phonograph record, which has been cleaned, and just with the blank grooves, let it sit in an environment for an hour or two to collect the actual charged motes of dust with the static electricity, and it's picking up the static from the atmosphere, set along to the record, play the record, and then record the results in the location to see what type of EVP I might be able to capture.
Very interesting. Now, based upon your experience, what is EVP? Is it, what do you think it is? Is it voices from deceased beings or entities, or is it interdimensional stuff, or what do you think is going on?
Well, without going into a 2.5 hour lecture,
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think I sent one of my papers on EVP and microsound theory to you. But just in a nutshell, we're basically made up of 60-odd chemicals and low-level static electricity, which explains things like phantom limb pain, phantom limb movement, what I call persistence of memory. It's in our brain, all of our synapses charging and storing everything from memory to things we've learned to genetically encoded memories or traits that are passed down through generations, through the bloodline and actually through the electromagnetic pulse line. Because what happens is each time we have a child, and each generation that goes on, we pass on more than just chromosomes and different characteristics that way. We actually pass down the electric charge that we carry as living humans. Now, once we die, that electric charge, if Einstein's correct that electricity cannot be destroyed, it's either kinetic or active, or it's passive or not active, then this energy, once we die and our bodies decompose, which creates another energy, chemical breakdown, but that energy exists and maintains itself in another Einstein's theories of like energy is attracting in sort of a cloud formation, if you will, of light energy. loosely, and it has memory to create speech, if you will, and that speech is actually transformed into manipulating atmospheric particles or atmospheric waves in an environment and creating what they call microsound. And the microsound is held together in clouds of what they call granular clouds. Now, these granular clouds don't build up enough pressure to be heard by the human ear, but when we record it, the magnet from the microphone compresses little slices of these granular clouds into a reform, sort of like the old vocoder theory, and we're able to gain enough pressure to be able to hear it. Echo works the same way. When echo bounces off a wall, part of the sound gets absorbed into the wall, part of it reflects as an echo. That echo actually builds pressure upon bouncing off of that static or that solid object. So that also builds pressure. So it has something to do with pressure, because it has to do with our hearing. You know, when it comes right down to it, the phenomenon of electronic voice phenomena is actually electronic hearing phenomena, because it's phenomena that we don't hear with the naked ear, but once that sound is compressed, we're able to hear it because of additional decibel or additional pressure.
So at what point does an EVP become a disembodied voice? Is that when the pressure exceeds what, I guess?
Well, I believe it's always a disembodied voice. It's just, as an observer, we don't hear it until it becomes compressed.
Right.
The compression, therefore, building up pressure, and then it registers in our auditory canal.
Okay. So I guess psychics and intuitives, are they just like, you have clairaudience?
Yeah,
Clairaudience.
yeah,
Are they just more in tune to those vibrations? I guess.
Yeah, exactly right. Psychics and mediums pick up the vibrations, which all energy, if it's light or sound or whatever, is a vibration. It's all a fluctuation. Now, this fluctuation is what mediums and sensitives pick up on, and clairaudience are able to register, and they hear things. Or, you know, you've probably had an experience of clairaudience at one point or another in your life, where you think you heard someone speaking, you turn around. There's no one there, right?
Right.
Well, quite possibly there was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there was. Now, Michael, you've said that there are two different kinds of EVPs, residual and intelligent. And I didn't know that you would classify EVPs. I mean, they classify ghosts as residual or intelligent, but you're classifying EVPs as well. Can you explain that?
There was a film, and you can actually find this film. This is a great film. If you should watch on YouTube. It's an 11 parts from a 1971 BBC television show from 1971 called the Stone Tape Theory. And I think the show is called The Stone Tape. And basically, these researchers are looking for a new recording medium to compete with the Japanese in England. And they rented an old English manor to do their research in to come up with this great new recording medium. And the workers wouldn't go in one part of it because it's haunted. And they later found out that what it was residual haunting that was actually captured in the stone walls of the manor, or the mansion. And they decided they were going to build a recording medium, you know, like a tape or a digital, you know, flash drive or whatever, you know, anything that captures sound is a recording medium, a record, you know. And they were going to build a new recording medium based on this stone tape, you know, this haunting, you know. So, yeah, as well as classifying hauntings as residual or interactive, you can also classify EVPs the same way. Because, like I said earlier, echo is based on part of the sound reflecting off of a solid object, inanimate object, where another part of it is absorbed to it. I've done a very extensive series of studies on to re-energize that resting or passive energy or waveform that's captured into porous materials. I've had a lot of success with it. I've taken tuning forks with solid tonal frequencies, and I've put them up against floors and walls and woodwork in purportedly haunted locations, trying to actually regenerate the energy that has been absorbed by these objects.
So a tuning...
And that goes back to the stone tape theory and the stone tape television show from BBC.
So a tuning fork would bring out the energy from a stone wall?
Not actually bring it out as much as add new light to it. It's like when you have a battery-operated flashlight and it stops working. The way to regenerate it is to put a new set of batteries in. So basically adding a pure tone, I've been experimenting with different tones, but adding pure tone to it is sort of the catalyst for adding new energy to that and possibly bringing it out. In fact, for a wider environmental thing, my research partner, Heidi Harmon, introduced Tibetan seeing bowls, and I've used them extensively too. She's sort of the energy worker part of Phantom Airwaves. And we've used Tibetan seeing bowls, which are 7 metal bowls named Tibet. They produce pure tone. And we've used them to also infuse the air or infuse different objects like the floors and whatever to attempt to regenerate EVP.
So say like Tim and I do a lot of EVP sessions and ITC here in the studio. If we used a tuning fork, would that help bring out where we could get more recordings of spirits on the recorder or on the video as well?
Well, let's say this. You should try it, and you may find you'll get interesting results. You know, it's like that with anything. There's nothing guaranteed. I mean, all of the technology and all the new gadgets that they're always coming out with and stuff are nothing but tools. And in research, we just have to experiment and experiment and experiment. I know Tim is wonderful about this, is trying new things. And he's always interested in new ideas and always interested in attempting new experiments. And that would be just another tool or another experiment to add to your toolbox, if you will.
Okay, so I'm still kind of... Again, I just want to go over one more thing because I've always had a tough time understanding this about residual and intelligent. Now, residual would be the same, you would hear the same EVP over and over, right? It wouldn't be a new one, but just like with ghost hauntings, it's like a spirit walking up and down the steps a certain time of the night, right? They go walk up and down, say at 12 o'clock at night, every night.
Yeah, that's actually, I always considered that sort of an easy out for somebody who want to spend the time to explain it, because the residual EVP doesn't have to repeat itself.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, and for someone, it's a matter of people who don't really fully understand it. I think they try to explain it that way just for a lack of understanding. Residual EVP means it's not got an active conscience. In other words, it doesn't have interactive abilities with the researcher.
Okay.
So it's something that's stored, like a picture or a film, that could be replayed because it exists on its own right, but only as a recording, only as a captured energy.
Okay. So the intelligent EVP would be able to answer your question then? They would respond to your question?
Yeah, or respond to your being there, or respond to your presence, or respond to its own consciousness. In other words, we've done insane asylums, we've done mental houses and stuff, and they don't necessarily realize that you're there, or they're not actually communicating with you, but you can tell from the EVPs that they're aware of their own consciousness. They seem lost. They're trying to make sense of their environment. They're he has to reintroduce himself to the environment to make sense of it.
Tim, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Michael, a lot of people and a lot of people don't know about frequencies and stuff. Can you explain that to them, like what frequency is and what frequency levels EVP can most be found in when they listen back to their recordings?
So frequency is an energy, like a light wave or anything else. It's a waveform, and how it works is when we push out pressure through our mouth and our tongues and our vocal cords and everything, and we push that out from the diaphragm, we create a pressure, and that pressure translates into an energy into the atmosphere. In other words, it pushes out as a waveform. It's a very low-level energy, and there are hypersonic frequencies and ultrasonic frequencies that are beyond human range of hearing, which is about 20 to 20 kilohertz of frequency. Now, these waveforms, as the higher you go up to the ultrasonic frequencies, the shorter the waveforms go. The lower you get towards the infrasonic frequencies, the longer the waveforms go. Whales underwater communicate hundreds and hundreds of miles to each other through infrasonic frequencies. And these are very long waveforms. It's just the oscillation of the waveform. It's how they measure it. And basically, frequency is nothing more than energy. And people need to think in terms of energy.
Great. Well, these frequencies, so like, where do they fall? Like, what hertz do?
Well, again, most people between 17 and 20 hertz on the low end, depending on youth and physical makeup and physical ability, to about 20 kilohertz or 20,000 hertz on the high end. Okay. Animals obviously have different hearing ranges based on frequency and decibel and pressure.
Right.
Which is interesting because I did this research, I did this study on, I thought, okay, we're always looking at frequency in the receiving end. Okay, 20 to 20 kilohertz are the frequency levels you can hear at. But what frequency levels do we use when we speak? What kind of frequency level is an opera singer emitting versus a baby who's crying or someone who's an old man who's whispering? There's a whole different set of factors involved in what you emit versus what you receive.
Right. It's
really interesting. Yeah. So like I always say, there's so much to learn and so much to understand about this field, and considerations. I mean, the iceberg is only at the tip here.
Someone in the chat had a question for you, Michael. They were asking about, can you raise the, someone was asking, can you raise the compression of a space to hear disembodied voices or get better EVPs?
I'm sorry, one more time, you were breaking up there a little bit.
They were asking if it's possible to raise the compression in a set space to possibly get better disembodied voices or EVPs.
Yeah, actually, there are basically three things when you're doing an experiment you can affect. You can affect the researcher itself. You can affect the environment, or you can affect the object you're studying, the entity. And in fact, if you're trying to affect the environment itself, I did something. In fact, I was at the Sallie House and I rented a helium tank, and we taped off a room and I infused the whole room with helium. As far as things like that go, actually physically, through gases and stuff, I haven't had a whole lot of success, but I've developed a set of what I call location-specific frequencies or object-specific frequencies that are built around a particular thought or location that I've used. I've made compositions based on, I was doing a hospital once, and it was real active in the 70s and 80s, and I researched and found what equipment they would have used in the 70s and 80s. I built a composition not in any particular order, mind you, but just representing the frequencies of the equipment that would have been used at that time. And I infused the room with those frequencies. And at that time, Jenny Stewart was running a ghost box with it. So we were running a ghost box with it. And it was phenomenal results. When the thing went to flatline, I mean, the ghost bus was screaming, help me, stop, please, please. All the cameras were flickering, the lights were flickering on and off. I was sitting next to a laptop that I was playing the disc on that I created, and Ken Gerhardt was in the room, and it slid about a foot towards him across the floor.
Are these frequencies coming in? Do you think the frequencies can come in from other dimensions, or are they all in one dimension?
Well, it depends on how you define dimensions. I mean, you know, when people talk about other dimensions, they have to understand that our experienceable world is only fractional. We only experience a fraction of the world. We experience a fraction of the visible light. We experience a fraction of the audible world. You know, we only experience a true fraction of the world we live in. I mean, we know so little about the world that we live in. How do we know that the dimension that we're talking about is another dimension or a co-dimension?
Mm. So how long have you been doing this, Michael?
Solidly going on pretty close to 9 years.
Now, have you been able to carry on conversations with the other side?
You know, nothing like the Meeks O'Neill experiments, which I think they discovered were fake, but nothing quite like the famous Meeks O'Neill experiments where they actually had conversations. But I've had recurring voices that you could recognize as being the same entity in locations, and over time been able to piece out. Let's not say conversation. Let's call it dialogue.
Is it possible to pick up a spirit each time you do a session and end up having conversations with them?
Well, yeah, it is, but then you run into the problem too. Is one of the things my research assistant Heidi Harmon's been working on is actually, do we carry these entities with us? You know, there's a good chance that some of these entities that we bring into a location aren't actually indigenous location itself, but actually
attached.
Yeah, something that we as researchers bring into it with us. Mm-hmm. And she's really big at trying to make sure that she clears the researchers before they go in, or trying to pay attention to see if they're having issues outside of any particular investigation or location. So clearing before and after is really important. And again, like I said, she's sort of the metaphysical end of things for me, and the energy part, and I'm more the scientific end. So when she uses sage to clear someone, I look at the physical properties of the chemical reaction of the sage as breaking the energy versus possibly the way a metaphysical researcher would look at things.
Now,
so I try and break it down more into the scientific end.
Now, Michael, based upon your research, do you think it's possible for people that are psychic or have like psychokinetic abilities that they can actually imprint the energy on a recorder?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've done experiments with film, you know, with psychic imprinting.
Right.
I mean, do psychic imprinting exist? Well, if you believe psychic imprinting exists, then you've got to believe that it could exist not only for like the visible spectrum, but also audio. But here's the other question, Tim. Now, if that's the case, then are we acting as receivers, or are we tainting the investigation? See, that's the problem, and that's with a lot of the critics who claim that, you know, this is the result or that's the result. How do you know that the thing that they're being skeptical about is actually not part of the process?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. mean,
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if you had ever worked with any psychics or any intuitives who might have had imprinting abilities, to do any experiments on them to see if they could somehow, influence the recording sessions.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I think, I think we influence it being there. I mean, a lot of people, when they record EVP, they like to set the recorders down and walk out of the room and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to do that. I like to hold the recorder because I believe that my energy going through the recorder acts as sort of an antenna. If it's psychic or not, I mean, psychic ability means you're able to connect with other energies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, if the other thing that I'm really after, I've never been able to do pendulums with anything, but I'm really good at dowsing rods as well. So dowsing rods and recording, and maybe because I don't know, maybe it's based on the copper coils or whatever, but I've been really successful with both those objects, those tools.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if as a researcher we don't actually come in as sort of an antenna or come in as sort of a device that helps this situation exist.
So then
I know when we do EVP sessions and ITC sessions, if I tell people beforehand who we're trying to communicate, there definitely seems to be a stronger connection, whether that's through like a collective consciousness or whatever, but there definitely seems to improve communication. And where it's coming from, I mean, we'll probably never know, but it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, read Edgar Allan Poe's Eureka. I mean, he talks about the collective energy and that, when we die, that we all rejoin this one giant energy that exists out there in the cosmos or in the world. And I believe that's true. I mean, basically there's no phenomena without an observer. And there's no observer without being in place for that phenomena. So one really can't exist without the other.
The thing about it is, how do you know who you're talking with? I mean, you might think you're talking to Hitler or Stalin, like I read. How do they know they're talking to them?
Well, you don't. I mean, what if it's just some energy that's assigned to their consciousness is assigned to say, he's anyone if he'll talk to you. It's like, or maybe it is. I've never found that as being important. In other words, I'm not looking for a history lesson, or I don't handle it as someone who's trying to determine who it is that might be there, because I know they can lie. I've had ghosts actually get caught in lies, if you will. If you want to take it there, I've actually caught ghosts in lies.
You have?
We've proved it. So the thing at the Sallie House, actually. But the thing is it doesn't matter. Are we there to capture the phenomena? Hey, if it's Hitler or if it's Churchill or if it's Joe Schmidt, it doesn't matter because they're dead.
Yeah.
And we're there to capture the existence of a persistence after we die. And that's that,
Yeah, it still would be nice, though, to actually...
Of course, it'd be wonderful. It'd be wonderful if
okay, so tell me this... Oh, what?
Oh, there's a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Chat.
Go ahead.
Since you brought up the Sallie House, Michael, people are asking in the chat, what were your experiences at the Sallie House, and were they negative?
Yeah, many of them were. That's one of the rottenest places in the world. The Sallie House is definitely a negative place. It's not for someone who's going to look to go there and joke around and play around and stuff. I mean, ever since I've ever been going there, the rule has always been you handle it seriously. I mean, you should always handle an investigation seriously, but if you're going to go there to screw off, it's just going to end up really bad for you.
Were you drawn to the house initially?
People let you know could get attacked and stuff.
Do you think you were drawn to the house initially, or like what drew you to the house, or how did you get involved in the house?
You know what? That's interesting. I mean, obviously, and you know this well, Tim. I mean, it's not so much the draw before you've ever gone there. It's once you've set foot there, it always draws you back.
We might as well go into the Sallie House.
Yeah, that's a phenomenon itself. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's a horrible draw.
Yeah.
Well, did you want to play some of the EVPs from Waverly?
Jump into them, yeah.
You want to go into Waverly?
We'll jump into Sallie.
All right,
and
we'll go
back
on.
to-
Okay,
yeah.
so I think we'll go into the Sallie House since people are interested right now in the Sallie. Now, everybody knows that the Sallie House is the most haunted house in Kansas, and also I think there's some demonic. I
That's a
can
hard
never.
word. You never get that
What
word
is it?
right.
I can't say that word. Demonic
Yeah.
connections as well. So let's see. So do you want to play a couple of those EVPs, Tim?
Yeah, we'll play the first one.
starts-
Michael, it starts with the blue. I can't read anything else after that, but it starts with off the blue. And do you want to tell people before I play it how it was
The
captured?
Irish woman, the Irish woman that's saying the balloon's gold to catch the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What room was that captured in?
I was standing actually kind of by the kitchen door in the dining room. You know, the
Okay.
dining room and the living room's connected. So I was standing there, and we weren't getting anything on formal EVP sessions, and I had this idea that I was going to. The group I was with at the time had this rule, like we did 15-minute EVP sessions and then turn off the recorders. Well, I was being kind of a rebel, and I just let it run the entire time. So during the 15-minute sessions, it's pure silence. And then after he figured all the recorders were turned off, there's just all this talking and shit. And this was one of the EVPs that were captured in between those sessions. And it's an Irish woman. You can hear her brogue. Now, see, this goes back to your question about if you could tell who it is. Because there's a lot we can get from the human voice. We can tell their socioeconomic status. We can tell their age. We can tell what part of the world or the state they're from. We can tell if they're happy, sad, angry. There's so much information we can get just from the sound of their voice by listening to it, and recognizing it.
Okay.
And when you listen to this one, you'll tell that she's a younger woman and she's Irish and she's fairly jovial.
Okay, well, we'll play it right now for people, if that's okay. So just give us 1 second, you guys. We'll hop into the EVP here, and I'll play it a couple times for people. Just 1 second.
It's the night. It's the night. It's the night. It's the night.
So, Michael, who do you think that was? I mean, besides, do you think it was like the negative entity perhaps mimicking an Irish woman, or do you think it was an actual deceased Irish person in the house?
Well, the house was owned by the Finneys.
Yeah. So you think it was one of the Finneys?
It could have been.
Okay.
Or it could have been someone from Ireland. I mean, I don't know. I really hesitate to try and speculate on things like that. Like, again, because, we've actually caught lies there, and they actually talk about, one of the EVPs talk about lies. It's hard to tell. I don't like to speculate on that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. I can tell you that it's definitely an Irish woman. She's got a slight brogue to her, so she might not have been directly off the boat, but she still had some remnants of her past life in Ireland with her.
Interesting. Well, we'll play the next one here. It's it starts with W-E-L. I don't know. Do you have?
No, I just have well.
Okay.
I
Well.
don't, what is that one, Michael?
Wow. That's all it says. Is that all you can read as well?
Yeah, let me see if I can find the full thing here. Let's see here. Let me see here. It is, we'll meet you in hell.
Oh.
I think that's pretty,
that's not well, that's will. We'll meet you in hell, that's definitely negative.
Yeah, and where was that one captured?
That one, We'll Meet You in Hell was captured in one of the bedrooms, I think.
Okay. Let's see here, we'll go ahead and play it right now. Yeah, I can definitely hear that one. You can hear it kind of whispering in the background. Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's actually goes like "We'll meet you in hell," and you hear another voice go "Meet in hell."
Yeah. Do these the negative stuff that you pick up, does it reside on a lower or higher frequency?
Well, that's a good question. I would think that it would be a lower frequency. In fact, if I were to kind of guess, I consider them elementals. In other words, Emanuel Swedenborg in the late 1400s, early 1500s wrote about Punisher angels or Punisher spirits that actually were never human, but they controlled spirits of dead humans or energy of dead humans. And he wrote kind of extensively about it and relayed some personal experiences as well. I've run into, in fact, actually Effingham and the Sallie House, and I think one other place I've run into them. And I think they're definitely what I would consider elementals or Punisher spirits.
Kind of like a soul collector, I guess?
Yeah, right. Sort of, yeah, like if you can imagine like a prison guard or something, a tough prison guard.
Well, the next one is, we'll play here. It's entitled "Pour Her In." Now, what circumstances was this one captured in?
This one was captured in a living room. I was actually taking a photograph of Deb Pickman, and this is one of those cases where you think you hear something behind you, and you turn around, there's nothing there. I was standing in the living room, and I was taking a picture of her. I was saying, this is how she was warming herself. It was January. It was cold. And she was warming herself against the wall heater there, the vent. And I said, this is how Deb Pittman keeps warm. And I took a picture of her, and I thought I heard something behind me, and I turned around, and there was nothing there. But you hear "Father, pour her in," really clear.
Okay, we'll play that one right now as well. Yeah, what's really interesting about that EVP is it sounds a lot like "We'll Meet You in Hell." The tone, a little bit of the voice, the pitch, and the tone sound a little bit alike, to me at least. I don't.
Wow, the same voice?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is there something that you guys have been getting?
Yeah, it's a lot of when we do ghost box sessions, stuff, which I can, I'll send over to you some of the recordings that we've done lately. We've had almost full-on dialogue with full sentences coming through, and the tone actually sounds a lot like this "Pour Her In" voice. That's what it reminds me a lot about.
And it might be. I mean, again, we've gone to locations in different parts of the world and country and stuff, and actually gotten voices that have the same vocal qualities. And I think as a researcher, that's more important to pay attention to intonation, diction, vocal quality. There's so many really important. I did some work with a speech pathologist to understand all the characteristics of speech and speech impediments as far as glottal stops and tapping the teeth and the whole works. And spent a lot of time on that just to be able to really understand
What about the EVP that you get when the voice is just like yours?
Oh, that's the voice borrowing, as I call it.
Yeah.
When we speak, and as we're in a room, like, let's say you guys are researching Tim, and all the time you're talking and stuff in the room, you're affecting the environment. You're putting out your frequency, and you're infusing the room, or pinking out the room, if you will, with your vocal frequencies. Now, if that energy is manipulating atmospheric particles, there's no reason why you can't use that energy as well. And occasionally it comes out almost in the voice of you. Now, if you play the EVPs called maggots.
Oh, okay. Now, maggots is under...
upstairs, yeah.
Okay, but now the maggots is under Vale Farm. We want to finish... Are we finished with Sallie House?
Oh, we have one more, the female singing.
Oh, actually, maggots was from the Sallie House.
Oh, it was?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be out of... let's see, I got to find it.
It's under Vale Farm.
Okay.
And it'll say maggots.
Okay, I'm looking for maggots. Let's see here.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
fun.
we were upstairs.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I'll go to play maggots right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely hear what appears to sound like maggots, or go get the maggots, or something. It's something about maggots.
There are maggots all over here. And what it is you hear it wind up through here. There are maggots all over here. It sounds like my voice. And then you hear, but you hear me talking underneath it like, I'm sorry, guys, I forgot some equipment downstairs. I got to go get it.
Yeah.
We don't joke in it. I mean, that's one of the places where, like I said, you kind of serious, and there'd be no reason for me to be talking about maggots. And actually, somebody got an EVP sometime after that about maggots in a teacup or something, too.
Weird.
Which was kind of, it was a nice little reference to that. But it's definitely my voice, and it's definitely not me saying it. Because if you listen to it, you're going to actually hear me underneath it.
Yeah, dude. How did the girl, the singing girl, get captured?
Which one?
The girl singing, the EVP of the girl. It sounds like a girl like singing in the background.
Is that the Irish girl?
Yeah.
No, that's the same Irish girl that said the blue and the gold. You can hear her singing an arpeggio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was actually captured also kind of pretty close to the same time that the blue and the gold was captured.
So downstairs by the kitchen?
Yeah, downstairs by the kitchen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and play it right now so they can hear it. Just one moment. Interesting. Hey, Michael, did you ever get EVPs of things talking to each other?
Conversation.
Like conversations?
Yeah, like conversations between other entities and stuff.
Yeah, like amongst themselves that you're tuning into or whatever. What did they say?
Actually, at the Sallie House, I captured things that talk about it. Don't talk, he's coming, and then someone else says, I'm scared, don't like him, things like that. I mean, that leads me to believe again about that elemental. Yeah, and other locations as well, a variety of things, but they're usually short and they involve 2 or 3 entities sometimes.
What about threatening EVPs? When an EVP will say, I'm going to kill you, or I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
Should we take those seriously?
Yeah, I mean, every EVP researcher, I believe, probably gets, like the EVPs that call your name, or talk about you, or threaten you, I'll kill you, I hate you, you can almost put Will meet you in hell as one of those threatening EVPs as well, you know?
It's not threatening.
I mean, there's no reason to take it seriously, is there?
I would.
It depends. I mean, you know, I think that there really is, and again, to borrow from Heidi, who's very much into the, if you will, field triage or the field medic end of things. A lot of people that we've worked with that we know have died or gotten sick through experienced because of her show, and because of that, she's been getting really, really sick. And you know, you just, especially mediums, you can't do this for an extended amount of time. I mean, we were doing a tuning fork experiment in the basement at the Sallie House, and I was infusing the pure tones into the stone walls down there, and I think it was Ron James was down there, Chris O'Brien was filming, Tony Pickman, Deborah Pickman, Amy Allen was down there, and was Amy down there at that time? Yes, Amy Allen was there, and I want to say that was it. And amateurishly enough, I didn't think about the fact that not only was I infusing frequency into the walls, but I was actually pulling out energy as well, because energy travels two ways on frequency, you know, so it'll travel both ways. And Tony went to go get the kids some pizza, and he had a pullover, and he was vomiting. Amy Allen and myself had flu-like symptoms for nearly 2 weeks straight. Chris O'Brien almost stopped breathing in the basement, had to leave immediately. Was having chest pains and couldn't breathe. Really bad stuff. So is it dangerous? Yeah, it's real dangerous. Is it important to clear and to be conscious of the hazards of doing it? Yeah, I put it real close to working in a toxic facility.
Oh my God, really?
Oh yeah, you need to be really careful. You should contact Heidi and let her talk to you about protection against these kind of things, because it can make you real sick, and people are dying. A couple other friends I know that are in the paranormal community have been suffering really bad lately as well.
How can that be? How can an EVP, just because you're contacting the other side, they can do that to you?
Well, you're tapping into energies that you wouldn't be normally focusing on. And the clearest way I could put it is the difference between walking past a light in your room, sticking your finger in the light socket. The same energies in the room, but the only difference is you're tapping into it directly. And there's a big, there's a big difference between walking past a light on your table and walking up to a light and sticking your finger in the socket, right?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing's changed about the environment. It's the same energy, and it's the same, you're the same person walking through the environment. The only difference is you're tapping into the environment differently.
Okay. So why don't we move on then to the Vale Farm? And that is called Effingham Farm?
Well, no, Effingham is the town.
Oh, and that's where the Vale, okay.
That's the Vale Farm, and it was actually called Hazel Green.
And so you went over there and did some EVP work, right? So to contact your family?
Yeah, and one of the reasons that some of the work I've been doing is based on bloodline, which family ties, if you will. And before that, I believe that when we pass down through the generations, we pass more than chromosomes down, we also pass this persistence of memory, of this collective energy. So my great-great-grandfather might have the same energy structure as I do, or my children. The connection would be different if I could be able to capture EVP based on physically being part of that bloodline.
And so how did that go? I mean, you sent us some EVPs. What is this one that's FU? FU, what is that one? Why would you get that?
Someone wanted to say FU to me. Or they were just saying it. It might have been just an explicative. That's a commonly, in fact, it's funny because I'm doing a flexi record, and it's called all the effing voices, all the fucking voices. And it's all based on all the explicatives that we capture as EVP researchers that don't get a lot of notoriety because we don't use it because it's the F word. It's a vulgar little word. And so I'm doing this flexi record that's got all kinds of captures in it where they say FU. It's very common to get that. It's one of the most common words we use in the living, in normal life. We probably use that word more than we use any other word. And when we die, there's no reason why the entities don't also use that word.
Tim, you want to play that one? Okay, Tim's going to play that one.
All right, I'll play it right now. Just does not want to play. Come on, play. It just doesn't want to play.
It doesn't?
No, it's haunted.
That little effer.
Yeah. There we go. Wait. That's strange. It's haunted.
Is it playing?
Let's see, I'll play it right now. Hear it. Play it again.
Do you hear it?
Yeah. I think it says, "Fuck you, far." Is it "fuck you, far" or "fuck you, power"? I heard "fuck you, far."
So what were you asking when you got that response?
I don't know. I don't know if I was even asking anything. I mean, I'm sure you guys have captured that word.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Last week it was. Oh yeah. Okay, so what about now? Which other one do you want us to play? How about "Go On"? What is that one all about?
Play Mark is Dreaming.
Oh, Mark. Okay, Mark is Dreaming, Tim.
Okay, let me just cue it up here. I don't think I. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Okay. Of course, it's not going to play the easy way. All right. Can't get this one to shut up now. Your computer's acting up. I can't get this to shut up now.
Oh no.
Yeah,
it's just playing over and over again?
Yeah, it's just playing over and over. It just totally killed our computer.
Oh, did we go down?
Yeah. It won't shut up now.
What if you went onto a picture? Or how about if you hit a blank shot?
That's odd. There we go. Alright.
Are we still up?
Yeah, we had a ghost in the computer on
Oh
that
my
one.
God. So what's that one all about? Mark is dreaming. What's that?
Well, I went down there after my uncle died. My uncle and my cousin Mark were living down there. And then my uncle died, and Mark went down to finish his PhD and to Tennessee. And I went in the farm because it was vacant to record. And I captured that voice, which is my uncle. Obviously talking about my cousin. And I sent that EVP to Mark down in Tennessee without telling him anything about it. So I captured this EVP at the farm. They wrote back, he was, "That's my dad." And I'm like, "Yes, I know." And it's my uncle talking about Mark is dreaming.
Oh. We're starting to run out of time. Can we just play a couple from Waverly?
Michael, I have one more question. One question I get asked a lot and I can never answer is why, when you listen to EVP, some of the voices appear to have a much faster pitch, meaning that they're talking a lot faster. You know, you actually have to slow them down. As other ones, it seems like they're almost talking normal speed. And a lot of people say, you know, do you think it's just the vibration level of the entity? Like the more negative ones seem to talk a little bit faster.
No, actually, I'm going to look at this more of a scientific approach. I think it's more the matter of how we're capturing them. If these are fragments of sound, these microsounds, and we're compressing them to capture them, and we're slicing them out of this granular cloud, if you will, then as we're picking them up, I don't think they have a particular variance. In other words, when we meter sound, when we project it, I don't think sound created by energy has those same physical constraints. So I think it's more of a quantum physics question of energy than it is whether or not it's positive or negative.
Got it. Okay.
Can we play a? Can we play a couple before we?
Just one more. I'm not sure how this is going to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We're running out of time. Which one should we play from Waverly? What is a good one? I've got I Hate You, I Love You, Right Now, Come Home, Why They're Running From Me. Which one?
Oh, I Hate You. They're all. I think they're all audible.
Okay, pick one, Tim.
Okay, we'll do I Hate You, Pig.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Alright, so we'll play that. I Hate You, Pig. Okay. We're going to play it right now. Hopefully this works. Yeah, Mike, I hear I Hate You, Pig, but what type of record, I mean, for, you know, to end, just so we can end the show on the right note, I think, you know, a lot of people, we have a lot of listeners who are just getting into the field, and I know, like, a lot of them are tempted to go out, they think that probably the more expensive the recorder, the better EVPs are going to be able to capture and all that crap, but what do you think, you know, for me personally, the cheaper the better for the recorder and the older.
I often get asked what's the most important piece of equipment for recording EVP. Now, I always answer the same way. I guess I'm going to answer it the same way here. is a good set of ears.
Right.
What's really important is when you're listening to the recordings to really focus on all the levels of frequency you've recorded, to actually pay close attention to what you're listening to. I mean, I'll pull apart and I'll listen to fractions of seconds at a time. When you got a 20 or 30 minute file, that could take you, 16 hours, 24 hours of work to get through if you do it right. And for people who are just starting out, the most important piece of equipment is a good set of ears. They need to really focus on the listening and really pay attention. As far as recorders, cheaper is better, because when you buy a recorder, you're paying for sound noise reduction. You're paying for little chips that reduce and filter the noise. And that hiss is our tools. We're anti-sound engineers. We need the hiss, because what we're looking for is built in the hiss. So the more expensive the recorder, the more noise reduction. Noise reduction bad.
Oh, interesting. The only thing is, you can't find those cheap ones like they used to make. They don't make them. Oh, eBay? Yeah.
eBay, yep. You can get them eBay. I got fistfuls of them. I actually probably have 60 or 70 recorders.
Do I have time for one more question? Or do we have to go? Do I have time for one more question? Okay, what about reverse speech?
Great. David John Oates. I did an album with him. It's called Messerschmitt. And it's a phenomenon that actually exists in real life, where he takes recordings of living people or historical speeches and stuff and goes through them in reverse to pick up reverse speech phenomena that either reiterate something somebody says. If they're lying, you kind of bust them out, or if they're thinking of something completely different, acknowledge that. And I think one of them on the album he sent me that I used in the album that we did was Winston Churchill talking about beating back the Germans time and time again. And then you put it in reverse, it says, 2 rights are never wrong, here for all. And
really? Oh my God, no kidding.
Yeah, and so in EVP, again, the same thing. In reverse speech, a lot of times with EVP, though, you'll get like a half a sentence, and in reverse, it'll say the other half of the sentence. Or you can get the same word forward and in reverse.
Oh my God. We've never done that, Tim.
It's really possible.
There's so much to do.
I know it's complicated.
There's so many things
I want to do.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So was our time up?
Yeah, our time is
Oh
up. Yeah.
gosh. Oh Michael, thank
I know
you.
this is easily a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Oh, easy, because I have more questions to ask you. I'm going to have to do it another time, I guess. Michael, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. And I hope to
Thanks.
see you, in a couple
Well,
weeks.
yeah, you'll see Tim at the Sallie House, I guess. And I want to thank you so much. Tim and I want to thank you so much
And our viewers.
for being on the show tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay, night,
All right.
guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Night.
That was a great show. Great guest.
God, I have so...
It's just a wealth, a plethora of information.
I know. I guess I'm
Great.
gonna have to call him because I have more I have some more
He's gonna charge
questions
you.
for him. He's so awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Please don't forget to give us a like and please subscribe.
Yeah, and also, you guys, we're going to be doing the Sallie House in a couple of weeks. Getting all that set up, and you're going to be doing some really, really interesting experiments over there. I can't wait to tell you guys what all that entails. But, Noreen is going to be doing a fabulous show next week on serial killers.
Hannibal Lecter.
Well, it's Albert Fish and Andre
Hannibal.
Chukalico or Chuka something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chukaleo or...
They eat people.
Yeah, they eat people, but really fascinating. Probably the most fascinating and most disturbing serial killer stories out there that you have probably never heard of. And Mark Telto is going to be on again, discussing that with us.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a real fascinating show. So I'm not going to be doing ITC tonight. So I'm very sorry, but I have some meetings in the morning for the Sallie House and stuff that I have to attend. So really early in the morning. But next Thursday I'll be doing ITC. I just needed to,
Oh, you're coming back
yeah,
next Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
to do
good.
ITC, so.
Okay, good. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thanks everybody. Please don't forget to give us a like.
yeah, give us a like on the day. So. All right.
And please subscribe.
Yeah.
And I guess thanks so much for being there. Thanks to the moderators. And I guess we'll see you next Thursday then. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Have a safe night. It's a good weekend. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Good night.